Yo, what's up guys, it's NLW here, back again with another video, pay-per-view ranked part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, what I did was rank all NLW pay-per-views from best to worst. It's just my opinion, but I got up until WrestleMania 2 and decided, do you know what, this could use a part 2, so here it is. Right there on the screen, you see I've got what I ranked last time in part 1. I gave my reasonings in that, so if you want to check that out first, go and do that. But we're going to go through all of the remaining pay-per-views up until my most recent one, WrestleMania 4, rank them in the list. Will they be higher? Will they be lower? Well, let's find out. So last time I finished off with WrestleMania 2, I put that at the top of the list. Now we come on to the event after WrestleMania 2. I don't think this event had that much build. It was Revenge. I think it was only 2 episodes worth of build, but the main event was a Hell in a Cell match, only the second ever in NLW history. World title on the line, AJ Styles and Undertaker. Probably one of my favourite matches, and it's a match that it hasn't done as well view-wise, but I think it's a match that a lot of people sleep on. It's my favourite Hell in a Cell out of the 3 that I've already done. Also, you had Brock Lesnar in his first one-on-one match on pay-per-view taking on CM Punk. Also had Drew Galloway and Seth Rollins, a casket match between Bray Wyatt and Sting. That was when Sting was in the casket locked in, it was set on fire, and then we saw Sting kind of in the rafters for the next few months until WrestleMania 3 when he made his big return. Also had a cool hardcore match between Big E and Sabu. I've just put that up on the channel recently. Also, Adam Cole, Bryan and Austin Aries triple threat match, and the opener, Jeff Hardy versus Shawn Michaels, a continuation of the WrestleMania 2 main event. It's a solid show, even though I didn't really give it that much build. I think the matches delivered. Not a lot of people gave it a lot of credit going in, but it turned out to, you know, surprise expectations, so it's a good event. Based on Hell in a Cell, I'd probably put it right in the middle, above Sacrifice, because Jeff Hardy and Michaels was a pretty good match, as well as Punk and Lesnar. But the Royal Rumble, I don't think it's going to be beating the Royal Rumble, so we'll put it right in the middle there. Now we come on to Unchained. This was the first event I did in my new arena back in, I think, 2017, start of then. The main event, Elimination Chamber, for the NLW title, CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Shawn Michaels, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and Drew Galloway. My favourite Elimination Chamber match that I've ever done. It also had a ladder match, so I think Uprising was the other event that had both a ladder match and a strap, no, not a strap match, Elimination Chamber as well. Speaking of strap matches, Dean Ambrose and the Commissioner, also Extreme Rules, Charlotte and Trish Stratus, and then the opening matches, you had Undertaker and Big E, you had Bray Wyatt and Austin Aries, also Kurt Angle versus Batista, and also a decent elimination match for the tag titles. The undercard's very strong, and the main events, particularly the ladder match between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor and the Elimination Chamber, are very strong. I'll probably rank it above Havoc. I think Retribution is more iconic and the matches are stronger. We'll put it between Uprising and Retribution, I think, because I do have a fondness for this pay-per-view. Right up next, we've got Insurgents. This was the summer of 2017. Main event was a fatal 4-way for the NLW title. CM Punk, AJ Styles, Shawn Michaels, and Finn Balor. I was trying to push Balor back into the main event scene, and I think I did a good job of that. AJ Styles trying to get his title back. CM Punk, the dastardly heel in this one, and the kind of tensions brewing between him and Shawn Michaels. They had an alliance at the time. Also, Daniel Bryan versus Kurt Angle, which in terms of like pure wrestling is probably the best one-on-one match, no gimmicks, that I've done. Also had Seth Rollins and Edge, Brock Lesnar versus Batista, no holds barred. I had a stretcher match for the hardcore title, the final of the King of the Ring 2, and an Ultimate X match to open up. You know what? I probably maybe put this ahead of Unchained, because although Unchained had the Elimination Chamber and the ladder match, I think this top to bottom is a stronger card. I'll put it between Uprising and Unchained because the matches are good, they're solid. Daniel Bryan versus Kurt Angle as well, particularly, is one of my favourite matches I've ever done. So we'll put it fourth in the list. Royal Rumble 3, baby. The main event was, of course, the Royal Rumble match won by Seth Rollins. He lasted from number 1 to win it all. I would say this is probably the best one I did up until that point, until WrestleMania. I should say Royal Rumble 4, but I'll get to that in a minute. Had the debuts of DDP, Cactus Jack as well. Had Braun Strowman in that match. A few other good people in it. Shinsuke Nakamura, of course, debuting. Also the NLW World title with Stone Cold as the referee, Shawn Michaels and CM Punk. Barbed Wire Massacre, only the second one I'd ever done, between Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley, of course, and Terry Funk. Also a street fight, Riot Squad and the Bullet Club, that was brutal. And the opener as well, steel cage match, Charlotte and Trish Stratus. I feel like with each Royal Rumble, it kind of got better in terms of the undercard and the match itself. I would rank this above Uprising. I don't know. I would say it's even better than Destruction. So I'm going to put it just below WrestleMania 2 because I think WrestleMania 2 has more significance to it. But the Royal Rumble 3, one of my favourite events top to bottom. Especially Barbed Wire Massacre, the street fight as well. Cage, there were so many cool gimmicks going on in that one. And the title match between Punk and Michaels, I think is really good. I think it's underrated. But yeah, they'll put it on second. Now we come on to Desolation, the second ever War Games match for Rollins and the Bullet Club against Edge, Dudley's, Gallows and Anderson. My favourite War Games match I've done out of the two of them. Also TLC, main event, a lot of people forget about this one too. Shawn Michaels and CM Punk, I forgot I even made it recently, so that was quite cool. Super kick off of the top of like a platform where CM Punk fell through another table. That was a good one. Reigns and Ambrose, that was good. Last Man Standing, Bray Wyatt and Cactus Jack, another really good match. On the undercard as well, we had Lita and Trish Stratus, Kevin Owens and Kurt Angle, Lesnar and Cesaro, the Hardys also winning the tag titles for the first time. I think the War Games and the TLC are very strong in addition to the Last Man Standing. You also had the Hardys and a fairly strong undercard. I didn't want the matches being too long on that. But in terms of where I put it on the list, they're going to get progressively better as I go on. So I'm going to put it above Uprising, just below Destruction. As you guys know, I probably have a fondness for the newer shows over the old ones just because of the quality of them, so that might hinder the ranking, but the story does come into it as well, and I'm going to put it above Uprising, just below Destruction. Now we come on to WrestleMania 3. I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to put it to the top immediately. This is my favourite show ever, probably. Just from top to bottom, fantastic. You had Money in the Bank ladder match, Kurt Angle and Roman Reigns, Undertaker Pentagon Jr., Cesaro, Bret Hart, Nakamura, Lesnar, Sasha Banks and Lita, probably one of the best women's matches I've made. And then you get into the more hardcore matches like the I Quit between Kevin Owens and Triple H. There was Hell in a Cell between Sting and Bray Wyatt. I also had the running thread throughout the night with the Hardys and Tag Team Apocalypto on the Hardy compound. Again, Omega and Bryan as well. Had the main event world title match between Rollins. He finally won the world title at Mania against Samoa Joe, Michaels and Edge, and then the main event, no DQ, Stone Cold versus CM Punk, a match that I've been building to for months to that point. This was originally supposed to be the last show I ever did. However, I got the itch to come back and do more, and I'm glad I did, but if I had left it at this, I wouldn't have minded. It was the perfect show to go out on, in my opinion, and I think it blows every other show I've ever done out of the water. But if you do want to check that out, it is in full on my channel. Undoubtedly the best show I've ever done. Okay, we're getting into the final few pay-per-views now. Next up we have Zero Fear. This was an NLW exclusive pay-per-view, so I started to do NLW and Metal separate pay-per-views and then have them joint for the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Here at Zero Fear, a lot of good matches on this one. I was trying to keep them shorter so I could put more emphasis on fewer matches and then have kind of more of a stacked card from head to toe, kind of like In Your House back in the day or an NXT TakeOver. So you had Shinsuke Nakamura and Kenny Omega, the Hardy Boys versus the New Day, Will Ospreay versus Neville, Stone Cold versus Sting, and Seth Rollins versus Pentagon Jr. I think this is very strong. Now, I don't know if I can rank it too highly because there aren't that many matches on it. I think Stone Cold and Sting was decent for a Legends match. Ospreay and Neville, I just made that a spot fest, and Nakamura and Omega, probably my favourite match on that show, other than Rollins and Pentagon. I wanted to put him in the main event for quite a while, so it was good to kind of see a fresh change in the main event picture. But now, hang on, actually, if I want to be fair, I might actually have to put it lower, because I'm forgetting, the significance of WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. I'll put it below the second Royal Rumble, I'll say. Now we come on to the first ever Metal exclusive pay-per-view event, the G1 Climax Finals. Had a lot of fun animating the G1. The main event was Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles to crown a Metalweight champion. Samoa Joe obviously winning that match, and I think this is probably my most underrated match that I've done. It took a lot of time and effort put into it, and not a lot of people have actually seen it. I don't think the views did very well on it. However, it is one of my favourite matches I've ever done. It's about 20 minutes long, just high octane action throughout. Also, the opener, Tetsuya Naito versus Shawn Michaels. Again, I put a lot of effort into that one. The mid-card, though, Ric Flair and Roman Reigns, that was decent for what it was, although I'm kind of having to work within the limitations of it, I guess. Braun Strowman and Rhino, again, cool Hoss match, but they did have a better hardcore match the week after, and Rosemary and Sasha Banks, it was fine for what it was, but there wasn't really a lot of story there, unfortunately, as I'd like to have given it. So Naito versus Michaels, very good, I enjoyed that one. Joe versus AJ as well, I would encourage you to watch it because not a lot of people have seen it, and it's one of my favourites. But based on the undercard, I'd put it low down. I would say hot take, but I'll have to put it below Heatwave. And it's not because I dislike it, it's just I think there are a lot of other shows that I've put a lot of more effort into. I mean, the main event itself and the opener are quite good. However, I think I should have built a stronger undercard. I think it's because I was too focused on the G1 aspect of it, and I forgot about other feuds to build up. So only Naito versus Michaels and Joe versus AJ stand out. They're both very good. I'm very proud of them. However, on the other shows on the list, there are more matches and more big feuds. So I'm going to have to put it that low down. But it's still better than the 2 shows without commentary. Next up, we've got the Royal Rumble 4 30-man Royal Rumble match. Kurt Angle ended up winning. That was quite a shocker. Kind of split opinion as well. Also on the undercard, we had Rollins versus Bret Hart, a dream match for the NLW title. I'm very happy with how that one turned out. Also the opener, Samoa Joe and Chris Jericho. For the metalweight title, it ended in a no contest. And that, of course, led to Tetsuya Naito cashing in Money in the Bank. Also had a short but sweet NLW tag title match. The New Day winning the titles from the Hardy Boys and the Revival in a triple threat tag team match. There was also supposed to be a women's title match, but it was cut for time, unfortunately. But I did have Ember Moon debut on that show. The Rumble itself is probably the best Rumble I've done. The other matches, I think Joe versus Jericho is decent, but the no contest kind of hinders it a bit. Again, the tag title match is decent TV match, and Rollins versus Bret Hart, again, that's a good match, but I personally prefer Rollins versus Pentagon. I don't know. As a show itself, it's not a bad show, but again, factoring in that I have now done less matches for it and tried to put more effort into the actual matches there, I don't know how it stacks up against the super shows. So I'd say it's better than the first Royal Rumble actual event I did. I don't think it's as good as the second, so it's going to have to be lower than that. But I will say, I think it's better than Zero Fear, based on the world title match and the fact it's a Rumble, you know, it's a big event, so just below the second Royal Rumble, I'd say. And last, certainly not least, we have WrestleMania 4, the last big event I did. This could well have been the end, but I did end up continuing going, again, like WrestleMania 3. This is a good show, in my opinion. The main event, Rollins, Nakamura, and Daniel Bryan. I'd say, aside from the Mania 2 main event, the elimination match, I think is better than Austin Punk, in my opinion. It may not have as strong a story, but I think the actual action in the match is better. Naito and Angle as well, that's the least viewed of all of the WrestleMania parts, but it's one of my favourite matches on the show. And also you got Undertaker, Kenny Omega, Austin versus Orton, Balor, Jericho, Cena, Adam Cole. I merged the women's matches together so that it would be a better women's title match, and it was. I enjoyed making it. And of course the opener, Money in the Bank, which had a lot of big spots in it. Probably one of my favourite Money in the Bank matches I've done. So, very strong show. Is it as good as WrestleMania 2? Perhaps. I think WrestleMania 2 strikes more of a nostalgic feel with a lot of people. If I have a look, I've got Royal Rumble 3 quite high on that list, but because I'm kind of a sucker for hardcore matches, that's why it's so high. I think I will put it above Destruction because it is a big WrestleMania. I don't think it's as good as Mania 3 and 2, being impartial and considering story-wise. I'll put it 4th. I'll rank it 4th. So that is every single NLW pay-per-view I've ever done. Again, let's just quickly go through the list. At number 1, we've got WrestleMania 3, the GOAT. Number 2, WrestleMania 2. Number 3, the Royal Rumble 3. Number 4, WrestleMania 4, which is the last event I did. At number 5, we've got Destruction. Probably the oldest in the top 5 because of the Hell in a Cell, the last man standing as well. Got Desolation next, which featured the War Games. Uprising, the First Chamber. Insurgents. Had Daniel Bryan versus Kurt Angle Ultimate X as well. Unchained, strong main event, Elimination Chamber as well as the ladder match. Then we got Retribution, the first ever, War Games and Havoc, likewise first ever Iron Man match. Then we got the first ever WrestleMania, Royal Rumble 2, the 4th Royal Rumble, which is my favourite Rumble match, but as a card, it's maybe not be as good as Rumble 2. Got Zero Fear, Revenge with the Hell in a Cell between AJ and The Undertaker, Sacrifice, Over the Limit, the first Royal Rumble I did. Then we got Heatwave, the G1 Climax, Breakdown, and then finally the first pay-per-view I did, and unfortunately it's at the bottom, it's Intensity. So that's it, every single NLW pay-per-view ever I've done, ranked. I don't know if I necessarily agree with some of it looking back on it now, but that's how I was doing it at the time. Do you think this is an accurate representation? Are there any events you think are better than I've placed them? Or any events you think should be taken down? Let me know how you'd rank these in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video as well, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps the channel. Also, if you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button as we're trying to edge closer to 30,000 subs, and make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss an upload from me. Also, again, leave a comment. How would you rank these events? Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys later.